Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. How are you, Fisher?
Doing better than I deserve. How are you?
I'm doing really good. As you can see, Paranormal Paul is missing. We took over his show tonight. And tonight, I guess we'll call Fisher Paranormal Fisher is what we'll call you.
I mean, it's better than paranormal can of meat, right?
That's true. That's true. Or we could call you Paranormal Spam.
Sure. Very well.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So anyway, he graciously jumped into co-host. And so I know Paul appreciates it, and so do I. Yeah. And you know, it's the thing is too, it's not even like awkward because like we know each other now, literally, like, you know. Yeah. So it's all good, you know, because sometimes you don't know people and then it's like, you know, it's kind of awkward, but yeah, it's all good tonight.
Yeah, it should be all fine. Y'all are fans at this point.
Yep, that's right. So tonight, since we took over Paul's show, we are going to talk to Kathy and Erin from the Ray County Museum in Richmond, Missouri, which is outside Kansas City. And we're going to talk about some negative hauntings. And when I say negative, I don't mean like demonic. I mean more on like nasty human spirits type thing. And there's a few cases as well as the museum that we can talk about, and Fisher, get your opinion and, you know, things like that, some of the things that's happened at the museum and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and bring, looks like it's just Erin. Erin, hey.
Everybody.
I guess Kathy had to step out a minute.
Yeah, well, we've got a ghost hunt going here tonight. So she's got people coming in, and she said, I'll step out of the way before it all starts. So
Gotcha. No
She'll
problem.
probably swing in at some point, I would guess.
Yeah, she got to do her tour and stuff. So that's the thing with the museum. It is open for teams to rent out for just private teams to come and do ghost hunts, or even if you want to hold an event there too. Kathy's open to that too. And I believe that's what's going on there tonight is an event, correct? Yep. So,
I'm not sure how many people's going to be here. I hear the alarm going off, so they're coming in the door now. So
yeah. Well, good deal. And it's a good group of people that's over there. It's our friend from Haunted Souls. So he's been on our show, and then Brandy and I have been on his show. So yeah, good deal. So let's start off talking about Erin, I guess let's start off talking about the museum.
Okay.
And we'll kind of give the backdraft on you and I. We started out as Civil War reenactors together.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and there wasn't any ghosts or anything like that involved. You know, it was just literally the Civil War reenacting. And then when we brought up the ghost, I believe, Erin, you laughed at us.
Told y'all you was full of it. No, yeah. Ghosts don't exist.
There's no such thing as ghosts. Like, okay, we'll come to an event.
Yeah.
And that event happened to be at the Ray County Museum. Mm-hmm. And so you want to talk about that? You want to tell about what happened that night and what brought you to the dark side?
Well, I have since changed my mind, and I do believe now. That night that I came, that was when we were still with the other group, and really there wasn't anything happened because remember those teachers, those loud teachers that was here? There really wasn't much that went on that night because they were a little out of control. But
and so was the team. Yeah, I remember.
So coming back here, and then when Kathy took over, and working at the museum after Linda had passed. Linda, who was the curator before Kathy, she passed away here in the apartment at the museum.
Yep.
And then Kathy took over. So, yeah, there's been a few things that's happened since then that have definitely made me a believer.
Yes.
I've seen, I don't know if what I saw, if you would consider it an orb. Kathy and I were sitting in the chapel room one night, and I was facing down the hallway, and something came down the stairs and like stopped. And what I compare it to, it reminded me of the Northern Lights. those greens, purples, pinks, blue colors. And it wasn't in any particular shape, but it was like I saw it and it saw me at the exact same time. And as soon as that happened, it turned around and split right back up the stairs where it came from. And Kathy goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Would you please get up and go out and walk in the hall?" And she knew that I had seen something. I just wasn't telling her what it was. And she went out into the hall and she's like, "Yep, something's here."
Yep.
So that was a bizarre. I've never experienced anything like that before. But like I said, it wasn't a circle. It wasn't, I mean, there was no specific shape to it. It was just kind of a blob of color.
Yeah, which is interesting because people claim that they see that type of stuff out in the woods, you know, with like, and have Bigfoot and, you know, Dogman encounters too. So kind of wonky.
Could you like maybe feel it as it was approaching before you could see it?
No. So where we were at on the other wall, I was sitting down in the chapel, and there outside of the chapel is a set of stairs, and then there's the doorway to the chapel. So it was like it was just strolling down the stairs and then looked at me as I looked at it, and then it was gone. It was just a whoop, and it was in a matter of a second. It happened.
Yeah.
And the lights were off. I think we maybe had, I can't remember if we were just in there talking or if we had an event there, but the lights weren't on in the hallway. So I knew, you know, it wasn't reflecting off of anything.
Right.
So, and then when we were, Aunt Betty and I was downstairs one time getting ready for one of the big events we had here. I was down in the political room cleaning before everybody got here, and I heard footsteps.
I remember that.
And that was down in the basement. I'm like, nope, I'm out.
That was the night the Tennessee Wraith Chasers came.
Yeah. That was a fun night too.
That was a fun night. Yeah.
That particular night, normally when we have a ghost hunt here, Kathy and I just sit in a room and gab, surf the internet, Facebook, whatever. But I was such a Wraith Chasers fan. I geeked out. Krista can attest to that. And I asked Kathy, I said, "Would you mind if I asked them if I go on one of their little, you know, tours?" And she said no, she didn't mind. And so I asked the Wraith Chasers, and they're like, "Come on." So we went upstairs, and that particular night, the group that was actually hosting the Wraith, Jack, it's okay, buddy. Jack's whining.
Jack is the dog, everybody.
Yeah. So we went upstairs, and one of the attendees, well, the group that was hosting, his parents are deaf, so he knows sign language. And there just happened to be a deaf attendee that night. So we were upstairs in the Indian artifact. Well, no, before we got to the Indian artifact room, one of the other attendees had asked about the chair. So we used to have a chair here that had a
we'll talk about that after this story, because that one is a little bit on the negative. It's a lot on the negative side, actually. Yeah.
So, and I asked her, I'm like, the chair? I said, "How did you know about the chair?" And she said, "YouTube." So she found out about the chair on YouTube. So I said, "Well, the chair's no longer here." And then they wanted to know, well, where's the room that the chair was in? So I took them back to the Indian artifact room. And there was probably 10 or 11 of us in there at the time. And everybody had equipment. And the equipment, the gentleman that was deaf was signing questions. Now, to go back a little bit further, there was a deaf lady that lived here at the museum, came to the museum, well, when it was the Poor Farm, and she lived out her life here. And we've had people say that, "Oh, I've talked to Goldie, but sometimes none of the stories have ever matched. So, you know, not I don't ever want to, how do I say that? I don't want to doubt somebody, but I kind of doubted some people. But that night when the gentleman was signing questions and everything, it wasn't just one piece of equipment that was going off. It was all of the equipment going off. Mm-hmm. And it was a delayed reaction, probably, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 seconds after he would ask a question in sign language, and then everything would go off. And I'm like, wow. And then he asked if it was a boy or a girl, and she said it was a girl. And I looked over at my aunt and I said, it's Goldie. And then he said, did you live here at the museum? And then it went off, and then I knew for sure. And I asked out loud, I said, is your name Goldie? And all of the equipment is going off at the same time. We had multiple RIN pods, K2s, millimeters.
You actually captured that on video.
Yes.
I was actually downstairs when you were upstairs doing that. So I missed it, but you did capture it on video.
Yes, I did.
And I don't know, Erin, if you'd be willing to share or not, we can always post it on Paranormal Paul's Facebook group if people want to see that video, because it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I can send it to you.
Yeah.
Okay. So it was just amazing after I asked if it was Goldie. So then everybody wanted to know what's the story about Goldie. So I had to tell them. And then as soon as we got done, I ran downstairs and I was telling Krista and Kathy, I'm like, you're not going to believe what just happened. Mm-hmm. So that was probably my top paranormal thing that happened. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That was a very cool night. Also, I believe it was probably Goldie that you want to talk about when we were cleaning with the dustpan. Do you remember that day? The dustpan, when we put up the tree, the girls were there.
Yeah, I don't remember all the details on that one. You can tell that one.
So you were sweeping. We were in the foyer there, mm-hmm. kind of where the tree put the Christmas tree up. And Erin was sweeping, and if you remember right, the dustpan moved towards you, like something was helping Erin to clean, which mm-hmm. I thought we were like, wow. And this was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't even night, So that was really cool. It's
paranormal here 24/7. It doesn't have to be nighttime. It happens at all hours of the day.
Mm-hmm. And you can hear things that are known to be seen there. Footsteps are a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like Erin was talking about sitting in the chapel, and there's wood floor right outside there. And the steps mm-hmm. are wood. You can hear footsteps are very common. Shadow figures. People have seen another friend of ours. She's seen a full-bodied apparition, mm-hmm. Right through there. So a lot of people get touched. There's just a lot of weirdness at the museum. But we as Erin had said, that another lady used to be, her name was Linda, and she was the curator there at the museum. And when we first started going, she was the one that used to run it. And she was not in good health at all. Mm-hmm. And, she passed away. And then Kathy, she didn't even want the job. She was just kind of like pushed into the job. And so now Kathy's been in that position now for, I don't know, what, 5 years or something, maybe at least?
5 years, probably, yeah.
Yeah. So this all started way back when. So when Linda passed away, part of the deal with Kathy is there is an apartment there in the museum. Mm-hmm. And part of the deal was Kathy got the apartment. Well, we didn't want Kathy staying at the apartment. Oh, that's Letitia. If you're watching, sister, come on. Sorry, everybody. So where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. Okay. So we had brought a psychic. Sorry. We had brought a psychic medium into the museum to kind of just help us to do a cleansing and to make sure that the museum was safe for Kathy to stay in. Only because there had been negative things that's went on there. And as Erin mentioned, the chair was one of them. And the chair was actually, I believe, from the courthouse there in town, correct? Yes.
Correct.
And so this psychic medium that I'm talking about, we know him very well, and he's one like no other. I've never seen anyone better than him, and that's the honest to God's truth. And he told us that the chair had an attachment to it, and it was a pedophile that was attached to that chair. And so the chair would sit in the corner of the Indian artifacts room, and I've sat in the chair. I think everybody sat in the chair. However, it's a nasty dude that was attached to it. And our friend, he could see this guy. And what's so funny, Erin?
Kathy just came in. She goes, I sat in the chair.
Yeah. Yep. So we've all sat in the chair.
Mm-hmm.
But this one particular night, there was a group of people up in the Indian artifacts room. And our friend, who is a psychic medium, I walked into the room and he jumped in front of me. And he literally, I guess what you want to call it, took a blow because he got jacked up. He was all bloody on his neck. And he actually saved me. This entity was coming after me. And he jumped in the middle of me and the entity, and he took it for me. Mm-hmm. So it was the entity that is attached to the chair. So at that point, Kathy's like, this chair's got to go. It's dangerous, and she has people come there, kids are there, whatever. And so friends of hers there at the museum ended up taking it to their farm, and they put it in their silo outside. And as far as I know, it's still there. Is that right?
Yeah. And from what I've gathered, they'll go out and investigate around the silo. They won't go in the silo, but they'll investigate around the silo because it's an empty silo besides the chair, and they still get activity. But if I remember correctly, it was a pedophile that was attached to the chair. Mm-hmm. I can't remember if I'm not supposed to say that word or not.
You can say it. Pedophile is okay to say.
Okay.
There you go, Fisher.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. My pistol or rifle in this case.
But yeah, so that was kind of some of the beginning negative that we kind of noticed that was on the dark side, and this was still going on while Linda was there. Now Linda, she kind of welcomed all of the attachments that came with the place, including the chair. But I believe, honestly, Linda had some sort of an attachment and was drawn there. You know what I'm saying? She didn't, not that I'm talking bad about Linda, because I'm not. I think, everything that happened was not her fault. I think just the attachment and everything that went along with it influenced her, in her beliefs and things, because she wanted the chair right there. She didn't want it gone, No. So I believe she was being,
worked over.
Yes. So after that, chair's gone. Kathy took over, and we decided to do the cleansing. So Kathy would have a safe place to go. Erin, do you want to talk about that?
So I was so new to this that I thought they meant they were cleaning. So I brought the mop bucket, the gloves, the pine saw. I brought it all so we could clean the museum.
Yeah.
So anyway, our friend was here that day to do the walk around. And at that point, I was still skeptical. I still didn't quite believe.
You really didn't believe in him yet at that point either.
No, because I hadn't seen anything at that point. I didn't know anything. I had met him, but I didn't really know.
Didn't know his abilities at that point. Yeah.
So I grab a pen and paper and walk around while we're doing everything, and I'm writing everything down. And he's, walking past. This building has how many rooms, Krista? 53?
53.
50 some odd rooms in it. It's 3 stories. So it took us quite a while to go through everything, but each room has its own theme. So we have a World War I, World War II, Korean, Vietnam, political. We have a quilting room, a Black history room. I mean, we've got a farm implement room. Yeah, grandma's kitchen. I mean, it's just a really cool place. But we would go by and as we're walking by things, he would say, "Oh, there's an old man and a cat attached to that." Or on one of the beds that's here, he's like, "Oh, there's 3 little girls laying down there." And then we went outside to the smokehouse.
And once again, I will stress, Erin is at this point a non-believer, and she honestly thought this person was full of poo.
Yeah, I thought you all were.
Yeah. I mean, he's saying all these things,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Erin's rolling her eyes.
Yeah. You know, I knew my friends wouldn't lie to me, but I had never experienced any of that. So, you know, I am from the show me state, and that day I got shown. When we went out to the smokehouse out back, there was a nasty there. And our friend that was doing the walkthrough, the medium, I don't even know technically what you consider him. Is he a psychic medium? What do you classify that?
D, all of the above.
Yeah. He is everything. And everybody else that was there, I kind of stuck out, you know, out back and was just watching, observing and everything. And if you had told me this story, I would have told you was full of crap. But I witnessed this, and it's still, I still can't explain it. It was what, an old washer or dryer or something that was in there. This is the old smokehouse. It's just about fallen down. They kind of just thrown all the old junk in there. But all of a sudden, we see our friend being lifted up off of the ground. Mm-hmm. And I see his thumb go down, which is a sign to Krista. And all of a sudden, we are all chanting the Lord's Prayer and trying to get this nasty gone. And I'm like going, I can't believe I'm seeing what I'm seeing. I have never in my life seen anything like that, witnessed anything like that. And again, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have still told you was a liar. But I saw it. And I mean, it wasn't anything. He wasn't touching anything. He didn't have his hands on anything. He was near it, but he didn't have his hands on anything, and he's being lifted up off the ground. Mm-hmm. It's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And then I believe he get a burn from that one too, or a scratch and was bleeding. Mm-hmm. I've witnessed that stuff with him a few times, so I can't. Those all kind of blur together. But yeah, he came away with a scar off of that one.
Yeah. Well, and then.
No, go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, I was going to say, there's a story to that, why he was lifted. And Erin, do you want to tell that story?
I'll let you get into that one. That one still freaks me out.
Okay, so he was talking about, you know, some of the things that he said as a psychic medium was like winters and I mean, he had said all kinds of things like, you know, there was a murder and you know, just all kinds of crazy things. And Kathy taking over this museum, she's like, I have no idea what he's talking about. There's, you know, been no murder here. There's been, you know, we have no idea what he's talking about. So Erin, the detective that she is, you know, she's from the show me state, as she said, she wanted proof. So she went home and she started doing research on everything that this person had just told her. And wow, if this isn't a story, it was the Nelson Winters murders. And I think he got Nelson, the name, he got Winters, he got like, I mean, it was just crazy, the stuff that he got that Erin had wrote down that meant nothing at the time to nobody. And come to find out, Was it Nelson they killed Nelson's family or Winter's family?
I always get it confused, so I'll say
get
it wrong. But
yeah,
it was all in the papers back then, and it was very detailed. They would not put this information in the paper today. They even had pictures.
Yes.
And told the gory details of what happened.
It was awful. So they not only killed, I believe it was Winter's wife.
So
I believe it was Winter's family.
Yeah, Goldie's mom and 2 young siblings. Goldie,
Yes.
the deaf person, the deaf lady that I was speaking of earlier. It was her family.
We didn't even know this at the time that she tied into this. I mean, this is what is so remarkable. And so come to find out, they did that. They got caught. These 2, murdered the family. And they were actually, I believe, going to murder both families. They were just crazy, but they got caught after doing the one family. So Goldie couldn't talk. She hid in a barrel.
Rain barrel.
Yep, a rain barrel. And, she was deaf mute, so she couldn't talk and tell what happened. However, she witnessed her mother and her siblings be slaughtered. And literally the mother was fed to the pigs. True story. Yeah.
Oh, and the details that they put in the newspaper were horrific.
Yes, it's awful. So after that, they were arrested, and a lynch mob, the good old lynch mobs, it was in full force back then. And they came across the river, and
they initially had them here in Ray County.
Yes.
And then the sheriff was afraid for what would happen, wanted the guys to see trial. So they got a boat and rowed them across the Missouri River over to Lexington and to Lafayette County and put them there for their safety.
Yes. Well,
but it didn't work.
Didn't work. Nope, because the lynch mob got them. And there are pictures that Kathy has at the museum of them actually, they're hanging and with Goldie watching.
I'll step away for a second and see if I can find the folder. It was just out. Hang on.
Okay. And anyway, so Kathy actually has an oar at the museum from that night, that when the lynch mob come over and took those 2, there was an oar at the museum. So it's kind of a little bit of interesting history. So back up to when Tony, got rid of the nasty. Come to find out, it was Winters is who it was. It was George Winters. I think his name was George, wasn't it? Was it George? Anyway, we'll just say Winters. Mm-hmm. And when he gets rid of these entities, like, I can't explain it. He goes to a place and it's spiritual warfare. It is scratches appearing on him. It's just awful. It is an awful thing to witness. And but he took him out of there, and to this day he's not there anymore. So just I was a weird encounter. Greg Ogles has a question for you, Erin.
I just saw that. I was freaked out, Greg, and hello. It was quite the experience. I didn't know I was pretty shook up after all of it. I had to go home and, do my research. And whenever I did the research on the murders and everything, it just all kind of came to light. Now, I was still skeptical, but I was believing. And then it wasn't for some other things that we witnessed with our friend that okay, yeah, this stuff is real. And I guess I've opened myself up since meeting Krista and Kathy. And I've seen a couple of shadow figures, and then the stuff here at the museum and hearing things. And it's just, I don't know, for, having been a totally ghosts don't exist for, almost 50 years. And then all of a sudden now I'm a believer, and even went squatching.
Yep.
Chris at the LBL and looking for dogmen, and So I've opened myself up, I guess you could say, to have more of a open mind, and
Yeah.
I just don't close things off.
Yeah, and Freaky Geek asked, did she not meet Brandy? Erin knows Brandy very well
Oh, yeah.
also. But Erin
Yeah.
and I were friends before
Mhm.
Brandy and I had Blondes and Booze and,
Yeah.
and that stuff. So, yeah.
The last time that you guys were here, Brandy and I slept in the chapel, and
did.
she had her recorder going all night long.
Mhm.
And I remember when we woke up the next morning and she went and got it, remember it sounded like somebody was taking a hammer to the radiator heaters.
Mhm.
That was weird.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. There's just a lot of weirdness there. And another scary story that happened we can talk about. So we got rid of that entity, and there was another nasty there in the
Yeah.
schoolhouse room. And that one, again, our friend told us that, it wasn't such a nice one. And the reason that we had brought him in because of that one is I got choked. I was sitting in the exact same room that Erin is sitting in right now, and I was choked. And it was about, I don't know, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Erin was sitting across, or Kathy was sitting across from me, and literally had to get out of the building. And it was bad. Like, that hadn't happened to me before at the museum. I had been there. I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've been to that museum. So it, we knew something not right is either back or, something new. And so we brought our friend back in, and he told Kathy and I that he was about ready to pass out. He needed to sit. So I grabbed one side of him. Kathy grabbed one side of him, and we brought him into the schoolhouse room there that has like the old time desk that you see on like the old TV shows, Little House on the Prairie type desk. And we sat him there. And this is pretty scary because I know this guy very, very well. And his eyes literally turned black. Black. I watched him. I watched it turn black.
And he had like superhuman powers.
Yes, he did. And he's not a big guy by any means. He's a smaller guy. And there was another guy that was there that he grabbed him and pulled him in front of me. And that's when literally all hell broke loose. It took our friend Greg, who's a big guy. He's probably, what would you say, maybe 6'4", probably
2, yeah,
250.
Big guy.
Easy, bigger guy. And then another guy, Kathy,
Me.
Yeah, to hold him back.
Nikki was here.
Yep. He was attacking me. He was going after me. This entity jumped him and didn't like me. And I think the reason it didn't like me is because like there's been several times like I would call it out, not really taunt it, but like I really wasn't scared of it.
No.
It did freak me out when it choked me, but I really truly wasn't that scared of it. And I think it knew that, and it wanted to make me scared. And honestly, watching that was freaky. And so we just started doing the Lord's Prayer over him. And I'm telling you, God works powers, because that's really what saved him. Like, after this went on for a long time, like this room got destroyed. Like, there's a wood stove, wood pipe in there. Like
a cast iron stove. That when he pushed back, so these desks that are in there are in a row of 3? And the legs on them are even cast iron. So they're not just cheaply made stuff. They're the real deal from back in the day, that they would screw these down into the floor so that they didn't move. So they're heavy. And when he pushed back, these whole seats went back and pushed into the old wood stove, and then the pipe from the wood stove. Now, it wasn't going in the wall. It's more for decoration type. But the pipe came down even. He went into it that hard.
Yeah. And it was seriously all they could do to hold him back, to keep him from getting to me.
Yeah.
And by the power of God, and that's honest God's truth, when I say that, this entity left him, and he came back to as himself, and he ended up actually going back and getting rid of it, though. And that guy was a bad dude. He actually was kept there as it wasn't the museum was never really a prison or a jail. However, I think he was kept there for a little bit. He was a wife beater, a children abuser. So yeah, and he just didn't like women, and yeah. So that was another scary night. But he's gone. Yep. He's gone now. And, as things come in there, because people are donating things to that museum all the time. Like Erin said, the building has 53 rooms, and, there's a lot of items attached there. So, as we need to, we take our friend in and we do what we got to do.
Though, what is odd to me is that the amount of ghost hunts that happen here, that hallway affects most everybody from the groups that come in here. That hallway is the one that they'll inquire about, saying, what's going on with that hallway? Yeah.
And they do. And it does have a wonky feeling to it, but knock on wood, since then, nobody has been hurt physically in the building.
Well, there was, he wasn't hurt. I think we told you about the barn door upstairs. It's on the rails that you can slide. There was an investigation going on up there one night, and all of a sudden, where it was hooked into the wall, holding the door back because it's at a slant. It's not even. It's at a slant. So that chain came ripping out of the wall, and the barn door went down right where a guy was sitting, and knocked into the guy. Yeah, the plaster's out of the wall where it was hooked in.
Wow. Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Wow, not good. Yeah. Greg Ogles has a question. Says, Krista, how do you get rid of a nasty? So honestly, when it's something like this, you can never make them go. I mean, we can't. And what we do, we do a cleansing with like the sage, the whole 9 yards. However, we do have our connection with our friend who it's spiritual warfare, and he takes them. That's the only way I know how to describe it. We've watched invisible razor blades cut him up. We've watched crosses just appear on him. It's the strangest thing that you'll ever see. And it's spiritual warfare with him. But us ourselves, we don't do that. We just, we can do a cleansing and it may or may not go. It's all about your intentions. So, and then next question, Freaky Geek says, Krista, was it choking before or after the removal of the chair? This was after. The chair was already gone. The chair was already gone. So it was not that guy. I don't know why. Ghosts just don't like me.
So I have an idea, and it's based upon the earlier story that you mentioned that was funny. Uh-oh, be careful.
Don't touch it, Erin.
My gimbal just turned off, so now it's trying to break on me.
That's all right.
All right, so I had a thought based upon what you were saying earlier about your mishap of what you thought was going on. And it made me think, maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe go ask a priest or something if they would bless a bottle of pine salt for you. So the next time stuff gets donated, before you put it out, you can be like, the power of pine salt compels you, baby.
Maybe so. Here's the thing though, Fisher, it's all about your intention. So if you believe that pine salt is going to work, by golly, that pine salt is going to work. Yeah.
True story.
That is very true. Very true. So I don't know. There's been a lot of wonky things there at the Ray County Museum, and with all of us, we try to keep it, I guess, clean. As far as nothing negative. There at the museum. So anyway, if anybody's interested, like I said, and you're in the Richmond, Missouri area, Kathy, you can contact the museum and you can rent it out for yourself for the night.
Or Blondes and Booze is doing an event here, aren't you?
We are doing an event there in October, and for that event, we are going to feed you a pasta dinner that night. So you're more than welcome to join us.
Come and play.
Yeah, come and play. So, and Erin has done, she's been on a couple paranormal teams with me. And there was a case that we did. We like doing private cases. I particularly like doing the private cases. It's about helping people. There's nothing wrong with going to the museum and doing our thing. However, my heart is more to help people. And I feel like, I don't know, how do I say this nicely? Like people who go and do events, I have no problem with. I truly don't. It's just not for me. It's not my thing to go stir them up. I've been to the museum many times. If people's in there and they want to go ghost hunting or something, I'll do it. However, it's just for me to go sit in a room, do it myself. It's not my thing. And, it's for us when we do these events, like the museum, it takes money to keep it open. And it's part of our history. And without our history, and educating the young people on these type of buildings, they're gone. It's all gone. So all of the money that we get to do these events, we donate, to the location. So if anybody even wants to do an event, Kathy can always, they can always use the money there, just to keep the lights on because, the electric bills aren't that cheap up there, So anyway.
Well, you're going to come out here in a couple of weeks and help us with a private investigation here in town.
Yep. You guys got to give me the date on that.
Yep. It's the 19th or 20th, whatever weekend that is. It'll be the 20th. Okay.
I will absolutely be there. So, and that's my thing. I like, the private cases, helping people and, that kind of thing. So, Erin and I and Kathy and our friend Tony, we all did a private case in Kansas City. And this was it was on the negative side. And it was a mom and a son. But the son was an older guy. He was maybe 30, and the mom was, I don't know, she's probably 50, something like that.
Yeah.
That lived in this house. The son also had a girlfriend that lived there at the house. And so whenever we do private events, or not events, cases, we go a couple times, because the first time we went, we did just kind of a walkthrough. We do the baseline readings, we talk to them, see what's going on, kind of do things like that. And the second time we go back is for the actual investigation. And so we did that. Erin, do you remember talking to that lady, what all was going on with her?
She had had a son that had passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered that much. And do you remember her shirt that was different F-bombs saying? I've never seen a shirt like that before, but there was something about the son that had passed away. Mm-hmm. Am I allowed to tell what we found in the rooms when we went in?
Don't mention any names. We can talk about that kind of stuff. Just don't mention the names or location.
When we went in, the place just felt heavy. Mm-hmm. Very, very heavy. And the team broke up. Come here, Jack. The team broke up, and some of us stayed upstairs, some of us went downstairs. But there was guns all throughout the house, and I mean multiple pew-pews. I forgot. I can't say that word.
We actually went to, we do walk through, and we walked through the bedroom, and there was like guns just laying on the bed, and that's
Yeah, and I mean, like on the ottoman.
Yeah,
we not even in a safe. They like pew pews like yours, Fisher, but like, I mean, there was probably what I would say probably 30
a bunch of
altogether. They were everywhere, and it was like that was just kind of odd. There was no rhyme or reason. Now, I remember when our friend was talking. You're okay, buddy. Was talking to the son and the mom when we were in the living room. He was asking them questions, and do you remember when he was saying? He said, "I'm seeing a pyramid and an eye."
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about that, and the guy kind of got freaked out. He was wearing a shirt.
Yeah.
And he got freaked out. And after our friend had said this, he's like, "I don't know what this means, but that's what I'm seeing." And he took off his shirt, and he had this huge tattoo on his back that had a pyramid and an eye on it.
Yeah.
It was, again,
Our friend,
I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most bizarre thing. So, I wouldn't call it a nasty that was there. It was the son that had passed, and it sounded like there had been some
unresolved family issues.
Issues.
But he was coming across as choking and scratching and things like that, doing negative type things to his loved ones.
Yeah.
But he was pissed.
Yeah.
He was on the other side. He was mad. You know, and our friend, you know, he's seen this and this is a true story. We watched this that day, and we watched our friend hold him. Do you remember that, Erin?
Yeah.
He held that guy's hands and literally, like, I don't know how to describe it, made peace with the two of them.
Yeah. And you remember what happened right here on his hand when we were in the car going home?
I do. You want to tell everybody?
He had a blister of a crucifix.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like he had been burnt, you know, with a crucifix, but it was in the perfect shape. It was the most bizarre thing. We were just driving home, and he's like, "Man, my hand hurts," and then he was like, "Oh crap!" And then he showed us all his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And it was the hand that he had been holding of that guy, the same hand.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, to make a long story short, we did ask them to put the guns up for one. You know, otherwise we're leaving, because that's just not how we roll. We don't know these people. It's one thing, you know, if we know someone, whatever, but we didn't know these people. We were strangers. And number two, it ended up being a good ending, because it started out as a nasty and ended as a son who just wanted closure. That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know,
but they also, we told them, I can't remember what it was, but said that you guys need to make some changes too. That, you know, you have to be willing to
get off drugs.
Yeah.
Because they were, they took pills. You know, pills can cause hallucinations. So when we first did the walkthrough, we're like, you know,
there was just as many drugs as there was pews there.
Right. So that's when we took our friend back, you know, because he can tell if it's really drugs or if it was something there. And you know, it was something there. They did the drugs. However, they did have a true haunting. And you know, to make a long story short, we told them that, you know, listen, you guys got to get off these drugs. You know, you're enabling it. Okay. So he's gone right now, but what about the next one that wants to come in when you're vulnerable?
Yeah.
So, and we had kept in touch with them for a while after, and everything had been going okay there. So they actually thanked us and, you know, ended up, you know, going okay. So, you know, we do this to help people, and, you know, that's what it's about for me. Yeah. Like I said, though, we really had some reservations just because, you know, never judge people. We did that. We did a demonic case, and Kathy can talk about this one. But we did a demonic case that we pulled up to the house, and we did judge, you know, was guilty of that. And, It was a little small shack, and it had garbage all over the outside. It was not a very clean place. And we're like, oh God, please, not this one. Don't let it be this house, Well, it was. And they ended up being some of the nicest people we've ever met. And I learned my lesson that night. Don't judge people,
Well, I remember Kathy saying they looked like they didn't even have a penny to their name,
Yeah.
and they fed you all. They made sure that you all were fed when you guys went.
Yeah. And he was actually a member of the M13 gangs. He had done 20-something years in prison for murder. Yeah. And she was the only living survivor of the BTK killer.
BTK.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a story for another day.
That sounds fascinating.
Yeah. Do you got any weird, wonky stories, Fisher, with ghosts?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't have any ghost stories. What are you talking about? I do. I mean, do you want me to tell one?
Why not? We have 9 minutes. So let's roll. Let's do it.
All right. I can tell you one of my ghost stories. All
Okay.
right. So, let's see. All right. One night, dead asleep. All right. And for whatever reason, I can't remember why, I'm kind of like laying on my side, propped up like this with my arm up. I don't know how I fell asleep like that. But all of a sudden, I get woken up to something grabbing me by my hand that's up and throwing it down and screaming in my ear, I hate you. Get out. And I woke up groggily, and I was like, what? I'm looking around, and I see like a little, I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a shadow person, only it was small. I don't know how well that makes sense or how to explain it, but it was small, and it like scampered away from me and went to the foot of the bed and kind of like crouched down like it was hiding. And I was just like, whatever, dude, do better, and went to sleep. I don't really get affected much by ghosts, so it didn't really like freak me out. I mean, it was weird, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's
kind of a ghost story.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, that is bizarre. I'm like you though, and I think I've done ghosts so long that it bores me now. That's why I'm really into this Bigfoot Dogman thing, because the adrenaline rush is there again. Where it used to be with the ghost, it's not there anymore.
Yeah, I get it. A ghost is kind of like an offsuit for me. I'm like, I'll do my best to support you, Miss Krista, but it's not really something I'm very knowledgeable or too experienced with. I mean, unless you count shadow people. I mean, if you count that, then yeah, I got plenty of stories there. But
well, tell another one about shadow people. Let's do it. We got time.
Okay. All right. Let's throw this one on for you. So this is about maybe 4 years ago, give or take. Mm-hmm. I'm lying in bed. I don't know what time of night it was. And I wake up to something. The bed feels like it's shaking a little bit, and I hear a noise, and I'm waking up. I'm not really processing it. And I look over at my wife, and she has got her arms wrapped around our daughter, and she's speaking in tongues, which is weird for her because she's not Pentecostal like I am. She's always been freaked out by that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But that registered as very strange to me. I was like, what in the world is going on? But the other strange thing was the feeling I was getting out of my shoulder. It felt like pain and coldness and electricity all at the same time.
Wow.
like
kind of like a TENS machine, Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, there's a pulse function and a worm function of it.
Right. Yep.
It feels like the worm function is going on in my shoulder. And it's so painful. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? And I turn and look, and there's a shadow person with his hand up against my shoulder blade. I'm like,
oh, wow.
And as soon as I turn around, notice him, he stops, backs away, and slowly proceeds to go and disappear into the closet. And I'm just kind of frozen and watching him in shock, like, what is happening right now?
Mm-hmm.
But then as soon as he fully disappears in, she stops and acts like everything's just fine and just starts sleeping normally. And I'm like, what am I doing laying down here? It's time to grab the emotional support pistol and check out what's happening in my closet.
Right.
Empty. Nothing. Woke up the next morning. There's a handprint on my shoulder. And I think that red handprint stayed there for like at least a month.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It was.
So was it the house that had hauntings, or do you think it was something that you picked up, or what do you think it was?
I mean, just given my history, it's just stuff coming at me, essentially, is the way I take it.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
no, I don't think there's anything wrong with that house.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So do you have any issues anymore?
I've had a few issues up until then, but once I got my life straightened back out, I haven't had an issue too much.
There you go.
So,
There you go. That's awesome.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this has been fun, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, Wands and Booze, we are doing an event at the Ray County Museum in October. And if anybody wants to join us, we'll have tickets on sale soon. And I'm going to try to drag Paranormal Paul there too, also.
Fun.
Yeah, if anybody wants to come and hang out with us. So thank you, Fisher, for filling in tonight. And thank you, Erin, for coming on.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Thank you very much,
Appreciate you
Erin.
both. And everybody tune in after this show, I believe, Paranormal Roundtable. I think Josh has got a show coming on. And then tonight at 11 p.m. Central, you can catch BMR, myself, Brandy, and Monica Rollins, and I'm not sure, I think Tex. We will all be on BMR's show tonight. So anyway, a lot of fun stuff coming on tonight. But we appreciate everybody, and we will see everybody tonight later. Bye-bye.
Night, everybody.
Night.